Thank you, Mayor, for making time today and join us in this interview. As you know, or as we know, Mayor Marquis-Bissonnette, the political scene in the city of Gatineau has been dominated by men, but yet you were elected mayor of Gatineau. What motivated you to enter the political scene in Gatineau?
Well, thank you for having me today. I'm very glad to take part in this interview. Well, I would say I have to say two things about that. I strongly believe that the municipal level is the closest to citizen, and it's where we have more impact on citizen life and well-being. And that's why I've been so interested in municipal politics for about.
So, everyone, this is another edition of the Ottawa Market. Today we are talking about the city of Gatineau. This is the mayor of Gatineau, Mayor Bissonnette, in an interview talking about her professed commitments about getting into politics and getting into citizen life and her commitment to community. In my view, based upon experience and observations of the city of Gatineau, there's a certain facade of, Gatineau has wonderful, great people over there, but in my view, the government led by, Bissonnette, Marquis-Bissonnette, and before that time, it's extremely corrupt. It is a very, very, very corrupt government. I'm talking about based upon my experience as someone who's studied government, studied politics, been in different parts of Canada, particularly, Gatineau is an area of great diversity. It's a very, for lack of a better word, using, it's a multicultural environment. I know they don't like using that word over Quebec, but it's a very multicultural environment. Unfortunately, there's the lack of representation with respect to diversity at that side of the over across the border, as many people in Ottawa like to refer them to. A lot of discrimination, a lot of corruption. I have experienced it personally. The corruption of the city of Gatineau. Multiple times incidences of discrimination that's involving, multiple incidences involving their police over there. And the result of that experience of discrimination involving the city of Gatineau's police, then it went to an investigation by the Quebec Human Rights Commission that found that, in French it's called Commission de droit de la personne de la jeunesse. They found that, they supported a claim of $44,000 against the Gatineau police. And since that time, the corruption of the city of Gatineau has considerably manifested, and this includes two things. It includes, having experienced this type of discrimination. What they are doing in the city of Gatineau, under the media scrutiny, has been to completely manipulate the judicial processes and to frustrate this whole human rights complaint in using all sorts of dirty, underhanded schemes of theirs. The latest permutation of that is that, this all started with, back in 2022 during a cross-examination involving the lawyers for the city of Gatineau. They couldn't find anything substantive to base their defense because the Commission de droit de la jeunesse made a very thorough investigation when they supported which in my view might be and very well be a record-breaking $44,000 claim against the city of Gatineau police. A couple of years ago, the Quebec Court of Appeals supported an $18,000 claim against them, but this is a $44,000 claim. So, so the response to that was basically to try to pursue a character assassination strategy involving trying to extract data, medical data from Ontario, which had nothing to do with the claim, try to extract university tuition, university records, basically the academic records, transcripts. They try to extract that. The Gatineau police got nothing to do with the claim. Completely outrageous. And then city of Gatineau, when it, they started, intimidated the lawyer appointed for my file, intimidated them off the case. Then they, in the Quebec Human Rights Tribunal, the judge over the Quebec Human Rights Tribunal and the lawyer started talking to each other in French, in a manner which I could not understand what they're saying, and when and didn't even give me an opportunity of getting a court interpreter. And if this was happening in Ontario or other provinces, I would have immediately been, I would have immediately been entitled to get an interpreter in English. But apparently in Quebec, they think they can do whatever they want, even though they're getting $13 billion in equalization payments. They still see fit to discriminate against Anglophones and people who don't speak the French language. Notwithstanding that, they started speaking to each other in French. Again, even though the lawyer speaks perfect English, can understand anything I'm said, the fact that I can't understand hardly what he is saying, that doesn't seem to be of concern over the Gatineau side. Then went to a litigation trying to get a court interpreter, continue to be frustrated by the, unethical, Quebec court system that denies access to justice to people who are English speaking. Then the latest permutation is the city of Gatineau, lawyers trying to get me declared to be a vexatious litigant, even though my claim is supported by the venerated Human Rights Commission of the province, and so they actually, the Quebec Superior Court, while I was vexatious litigant, the Judge Hussein said no. They went to the three-panel judge of the Quebec Human Rights, the Quebec Court of Appeal. They said no. And then the Quebec Superior Court said not only did they say no, but they said that there was no jurisdiction for my case in the Quebec Superior Court. That did not stop the Gatineau police reopening the file, even though they said that they had no jurisdiction. And so, but who was the judge that reopened the file? Well, the judge who reopened the file had the same last name of one of the defendant police officers in the case. So this is the kind of stuff that's going on with respect to the mayor, the city of Gatineau police, the Gatineau court system over there, and the Quebec court system. Completely outrageousness, judge, defendant, same name, that is completely, how can you expect a fair trial with the with the judge having the same last name as as one of the defendants? So based upon that, judge reopened the case, even though according to Section 37.1 of the Quebec Charter, you cannot retrial a case, which is also common in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Once you're acquitted, you can't retrial the case. So now they're trying to retrial the whole vexatious litigant thing in the Quebec Superior Court that was already ruled by the Quebec Court of Appeal as being as completely invalidating that. So this is the type of outrageousness going over the Quebec side. A lack of, and Gatineau, they do not respect human rights over there. Their municipality, in my view, is corrupt. They don't support diversity. They, even though, for example, the best indicator of that is, great festivals, ethnic, multicultural festivals on the Ontario side. They do not have any multicultural festivals on the Gatineau side like the ones in Ontario, because they are repressive to diversity. And as an expression of their repression to diversity is my experience of discrimination. On the Gatineau side. So this is what's going over the Quebec side, an environment which does not support, even though they're diverse, even though we have the mayor of Gatineau talking about her commitment to community and all kinds of wonderful stuff like that, when it comes operationally, the mayor over there is paying lip service to diversity, paying lip service to ethics and responsibility based upon my experiences of profound discrimination, profound corruption, profound efforts by Gatineau to manipulate the justice system in an unethical manner. This is what's been going over there for years, and it's just getting worse and worse. And people need to be aware of when they're going over the Quebec side, particularly if you're a visible minority. But if you're going to the Quebec side, you need to be aware that they do not practice basic ethics when it comes to access to justice, when it comes to the rights of people who are diverse backgrounds. It's becoming an increasingly intolerant environment that is being backed up by all sorts of activities which are repressive to diversity and repressive to basic concepts of ethics. So that's my insights in terms of what's going on in Gatineau. If you have any experience of discrimination or corruption over the Gatineau side, I invite you to make your comments below, because in my view, great people over Gatineau, but the corruption and discrimination over Gatineau is just rampant, and anybody which has any sort of relations goes over to Quebec side, you need to be completely aware that you might be, that whatever experiences you have with the police, no matter how atrocious they are, could be reinforced by municipalities like Gatineau, which are going to engage in my view, all sorts of corrupt tactics to reinforce as an effort to try to reinforce their discriminatory and oppressive conduct. Thanks for watching another edition of the Maude Marquis.